I think it's lovely that as we are beginning this summer sermon series on poetry, which we've done for the last couple weeks, I don't normally use the lectionary. I'm not, hardcore that way. But every once in a while I go look and see, just for fun, what's there. And wouldn't you know, the last few weeks, one of the selections has been some of the most gorgeous poetry the Bible has to offer. Last week it was out of the Song of Solomon, and this week it was from Isaiah. Right? All the trees of the field shall clap their hands. You shall go out with joy and be led back with peace. So somebody's smiling on us. Poetry's a good thing. Okay, so last week I shared 4 of my favorite poems with you. But I realized as I'm flipping through my old poetry books, oh yeah, gotta do that one. This one is too good to pass up. So that over and over I would be pulled to not an entire poem, but just the last line. Like, I don't even remember what the rest of the poem is about, but that last line I go back to and I use it, and it's a touchstone. So I thought, well, it's kind of weird to just read last lines of poetry. I mean, especially if people aren't familiar with that particular poem. But I thought, okay, we're going to be a small group on Sunday. Let's just do something different. So instead of a yakky sermon where I stand up in front and do all the talking, I thought we would do an exercise today. You guys get to do something. Have any of you ever done something called Lectio Divina? Does that name ring a bell?
It rings a bell, but I don't remember what it is.
A dim bell, okay. It stands for sacred reading. And it's an old spiritual practice in which you engage with a piece of text. It can be the Bible, or if you're not Christian, it could be, some other piece of sacred scripture. You can do Lectio Divina with almost any piece of text, maybe not the phone book, but anything that is meaningful. And what you do is, I'll describe it in more detail in a minute, but you basically read the text slowly, several times, out loud. Somebody that, in your hearing is reading it out loud. And you're listening, but you're not thinking about it. This is not a lit crit kind of exercise. This is let the words just flow by, and which word or phrase, Kimberly used to call it shimmers, but it sort of resonates with you. It's like, oh, and you listen again and you go, yeah, that's my word. And everybody's is different. For the same text, different words leap out at you. And then you spend a while in quiet reflection, and maybe writing if you want to, or discussing. That's what we're going to practice this morning with each other. Why perhaps that word leaped out at you? What is it that it touched? It's a practice not so much to give you something as to pull out something you already have that maybe you haven't thought about in a long time, or you weren't aware that it wanted to be heard again. So this is a practice to help you be in touch with your inner life. So what I did was to choose 3 different last lines, and I'm going to offer you a choice. So you don't have to go with the one I thought was cool. Pick your own. And one group can meet in the meditation circle, and one group can meet in the office, and the other group can, hang out up here. So you can have quiet conversations and not run into each other. And for each of them, ask somebody in the group to be the reader. They read the given text slowly, out loud. And they read it again, and you might go around your little group and say, what word shimmered for you, or not, you don't have to. Probably read it out loud 3 times. Really just let it touch something, whatever it is. Okay, so does the directions kind of more or less clear?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of flexibility here, it's okay. So here are the 3 choices. The first one is from Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
Could you say it again, because I wasn't understanding something.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Well, that's not yours, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that's the first choice, is Dylan Thomas. The second choice is Robert Frost.
Yeah. Got me, yeah.
I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Yes.
Yep, okay. And the third one is John Milton. They also serve who only stand and wait. Okay. So I have actually somewhere, what did I do with them? Here they are. I have the whole poems for you also, in case you're curious. If you don't recognize them or you want to read them, but it's not about what the poet meant those last lines to be. For that, you'd read the whole poem and you'd do kind of a critique of it. This is, how do those lines speak to you today? And maybe it's different than what they would have said yesterday, but something in you wants to come out and is responding to one of these lines. Okay, so the Dylan Thomas people are in the meditation circle, and the Robert Frost people are in the office, and the John Milton people are up here in the corner. Okay? They're all interesting, I know, and I'll pick the smallest group and join that so that there's enough people. When you hear the bell, the singing bowl, in about, 15 minutes or so, come back, and our talk back will be to go around the circle and everybody gets to say one thing. Not a whole, not the whole paragraph, just an insight you had this morning. Okay? On your mark, get
How
set.
do you divide up a 3?
Oh, no, you get to choose.
Okay, one can be 4 or 5, one can be 2.
Say, they can. If there's a 2, I'll join that group.
Okay.
3 is a lovely number, because then you know.
Yeah.
But you can do Lectio Divina in large groups if you have time. It's really, size is not a requirement. You can do it all by yourself if you want to, but it's more fun to talk to other people. Yeah. Okay, so Dylan Thomas, Robert Frost, John Milton. Okay? Go.